Hello, folks, and Merry Christmas a couple weeks early. Yes, on this program, we do say Merry Christmas, folks. And, there's been, we didn't do a show last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. A lot of people probably out and about, not that many people watch this anyway. But, being and whatnot, there's all that much news last week, dramatic like we like to have on this show. So we're going to get right to the chase. Kanye West is all over the headlines for praising Hitler and the Nazis. However, and of course, Donald Trump is all over the news for having this white supremacist Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago. The fake news media wants to tell you that Trump invited Nick Fuentes to this Mar-a-Lago dinner. However, it's becoming increasingly more evident that perhaps Trump was set up with this. You see, a big force used to be in the pop culture, the African American community, whatnot, such as Kanye West, that has outspokenly been pro-Trump over the past couple of years, wants to come to dinner at Mar-a-Lago, yeah, sure, why not, Then, Kanye, or Ye, as many people like to say, Ye, because maybe he's hopped up on the Ye-Yo, brought along with him this Nick Fuentes guy, and possibly Milo Yiannopoulos. I'm not so sure about that. A far-right activist has claimed the meeting was a setup to make Trump's life miserable. NBC News reported that in an attempt to send a message to the former president, Milo Yiannopoulos, a right-wing provocateur and former Breitbart editor, helped arrange for Fuentes to travel to Mar-a-Lago, Florida for a dinner between Trump and rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Trump dined with Fuentes and Ye at his resort on November 22nd. Since the meeting, Trump has been criticized by senior Republicans and Jewish conservative leaders. Trump said Ye was invited to dinner and unexpectedly showed up with three of his friends, whom I knew nothing about. He has not condemned Fuentes and his views. This is an NBC article, by the way, that's also on The Guardian, which is fairly liberal. Fuentes has been described by the chief executive of the Anti-Defamation League among the most prominent and unapologetic anti-Semites in the country. Speaking to NBC, Yiannopoulos said that he came up with a plan for Fuentes to travel with Ye and hopefully gain access to the former president. Let me do impersonation here of Yiannopoulos. I wanted to show Trump the kind of talent that he's missing out on by allowing his terrible handlers to dictate who he can and can't hang out with, Yiannopoulos said. I also wanted to send a message to Trump that he has systematically, repeatedly neglected, ignored, and abused the people who love him the most, the people who put him in office, and that kind of behavior comes back to bite you in the end. Now, Yiannopoulos is once a leading figure in the alt-right movement, but has been banned by most social media networks and lost a book deal in 2017 after appearing to endorse pedophilia. Wait a minute, folks. Wait a minute. We have Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, who just let 7,000 pedophiles out of prison, and nobody's going after him, right? He told NBC he also arranged the meeting just to make Trump's life miserable because he was aware news of the dinner would leak. Trump has engaged with racists in the past, including claiming there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally in Virginia, which resulted in the death of a counter-protester. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to that one, folks. You see, they were blocking traffic, and I don't believe they were it wasn't all white supremacist. It was actually, I believe, started by like a BLM type movement. The guy just drove through them. There was also an incident in New York where and this woman was offered a plea deal where Black Lives Matter, where aggressively they started banging on her hood, and she just drove right through it. What would you do? She had her kid in the car. They offered her a plea deal of what was it? Like 6 hours of community service and a 1 year license suspension. She should have taken the deal, but she decided to go for a trial by jury. And if convicted, she would face 7 years. Now, I understand where she's coming from. She doesn't want to admit that she's guilty because she's not. But, this is how the left works. And I guarantee you that jury is going to be fixed so that she doesn't win. Criticism for hosting Fuentes came from Republicans, including former Vice President Mike Pence, the cuck, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, the fat ass. On Tuesday, Fuentes disputed Yiannopoulos' suggestion that the dinner was an attempt to make Trump's life miserable. This is just not true at all, Fuentes said on the messaging app Telegram below a screenshot from the NBC article. My intention was not to hurt Trump by attending the dinner. That is fake news. I love Donald Trump. Yay! Who, like Trump, is running for president in 2024, said he used the dinner to ask Trump to be his vice president, only for Trump to insult his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian. Trump stated basically screaming at me at the table. So Trump started basically screaming at me at the table, telling me I was going to lose, Ye said in a video since deleted from social media but transcribed by Newsweek. I mean, has that ever worked for anyone in history? I'm like, whoa, hold on, Trump. Yay, you're talking to Yay. Ye also said Trump was really impressed by Fuentes. A source close to Trump told NBC the former president was left furious by the meeting. He's crazy. He can't beat me, Trump said of Ye, according to the source, who also said Trump was totally blindsided by Fuentes' presence, adding it was a setup. On Wednesday, the Associated Press reported that Trump's campaign was putting new protocols in place to ensure that those who meet with him are approved and fully vetted. Among those protocols, the Associated Press, citing unnamed sources, is a requirement that Trump is accompanied by a senior official at all times. Okay, folks, so basically right there, what we have is, it clearly is a setup, and we'll get more into that as the program unfolds. Now, could it be or could it not be? See, it is very widely known. It was even when Kanye West was on with Tucker Carlson, I want to say it was a couple months ago, he openly admitted his strong dislike for Jared Kushner, who happens to be Jewish, citing that it was something about Kim Kardashian and him had like a deal, a clothesline, money, some kind of a deal, and that Kanye was left out of it. He also admitted, he said, well, of course, man, Trump's awesome. He made Ivanka. Kind of alluding to the fact that maybe he just thinks Kushner's in his way. Now, I guarantee you, I'm sorry, none of them would want anything to do with Kanye West. Not any chance. So, could be that he really does dislike the Jewish people. Now, as we get further on here, again, with Trump claiming that Kanye West had tricked him, it's very obvious, very obvious that there's something further on here. And the Democrats, folks, are going all out saying, look at Trump, the anti-Semiticness of Kanye West and all these other people. But rewind a few years back. President Barack Hussein had a Holocaust denier at his White House multiple times, for state dinners even. Guy by the name of Louis Farrakhan. God damn America. You know, that guy, the Holocaust never happened. Black people are the victims of the only Holocaust. That guy, who is also a supporter of Raphael Warnock, Raphael Warnock is also a bit of a Holocaust denier. Raphael Warnock himself has said, "God damn America," anti-Israel, everything else. But it's okay when the Democrats do it, right? It's not okay when someone on our side does it. And 9 times out of 10, when someone on our side does it, it's because they were put in there by the left. Think about it. You never heard about anti-Semitism in the White House when Obama was president. Obama, the closet Muslim, born in Kenya, who attended the church of Jeremiah Wright and Louis Farrakhan, who wrote the book Dreams of My Real Father, who was also a radical Muslim. Think about it. And it befuddles me as to why so many of the Jewish population vote for anything with a D next to its name. First off, they're going to take all your money. They're against Israel. They don't want it to exist. They give money to the Muslims that don't want Israel to exist, that chant death to America, the mullahs in Iran. And guess what? When they get where they want, do you think they're going to help you? Democrats are just going to retreat into a bunker with all their money that they made for selling away everything. And you guys are going to be screwed. And guess what? All of us on the right are going to say, it ain't my fault. We voted for Trump, and we ain't going to help you. You voted for it. And that's what I tell everybody. I say, listen, when the shit hits the fan, I ain't helping you. Even my immediate family, which none of our Democrats, thank God, I'd be the same way. I'm not helping you. You were stupid. It's just ridiculous how some of these people are. That's how I make eggnog, by the way. Drink the whiskey first and wash it down with the eggnog. Anyhow, so that's what we're sitting at here. Now, Elon Musk, on the other hand, has, tried to keep our free speech alive. The White House, Elon Musk is just basically 2 hours ago, this is just released by Fox News here. Elon Musk reveals what led to Twitter suppressing the Hunter Biden story in 2020. Again, this is breaking news, folks. Twitter owner Elon Musk released bombshell revelations about what led the tech giant to suppress Hunter Biden's story in the final weeks before the 2020 election. After a lengthy delay, Musk outsourced his findings to Substack journalist Matt Taibbi, who published a lengthy thread about what had transpired behind the scenes at Twitter. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more often, then constantly, Taibbi wrote. By 2020, requests from the connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write another, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back handled. Taibbi shared a screenshot of that 2020 October exchange featuring links to tweets Biden's team allegedly wanted taken down. Both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, the system wasn't balanced. It was based on contacts because Twitter was and overwhelmingly is staffed by people of one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left. Well, the Democrats, then the right. The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it is also the assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives, the journalist teased. then quickly pivoted to the Twitter files regarding the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Musk have been vocal about being, I'm paraphrasing here, skipping a little bit. Musk have been vocal about being transparent when it comes to Twitter's past and present actions it takes when it comes to curating content on the platform, including censored content. Twitter famously blocked its users from sharing the New York Post reporting of the Hunter Biden laptop in tweets and direct messages. At the same time, Twitter safety alleged that the articles were in violation of its hacked materials policy. Twitter's then CEO Jack Dorsey admitted his company's actions were a mistake. But you see, 15% of the people that voted in the 2020 election said they would have changed their vote had that information been put out. So, does that mean that Twitter was involved in changing the outcome of an election? Absolutely, it does. And Elon Musk is going to release that. Maybe has something to do why Apple CEO Tim Cook threatened to take the Twitter app off of the App Store. Let's see if there's any news on that. 17 hours ago, blah, 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 blah. Well, as it looks like, it doesn't appear that Apple is planning to cancel the Twitter app. However, what's going on in China, where Apple makes most of its products, they seem to be caving to the Chi-Coms, who are censoring images of the protest to such an extent that the Chinese Communist Party has actually, I heard this, I heard it on Clay and Buck. They've actually made algorithms that if one tries to search about the protests in China, it takes them to Chinese porn sites and escort sites. No kidding. Pretty crafty Chinese shit there, folks. You can't trust them. Chinese President Xi Jinping also was saying, the U.S. needs to start eliminating their nuclear arsenal. They have no plans to do it. Now, if Donald Trump was president, he'd be like, yeah, okay, you first. My button's bigger than yours, Xi. Now, not saying picking fights is a good thing, but see, people were afraid of and respected Trump. Joe Biden held a state dinner this week with Emmanuel Macron of France. Now, there's a bunch to take from this. First off, Joe being Joe. When President Macron showed up and they shook hands and had their photo op, first off, Macron, who does speak English perfectly fine, was delivering his remarks in French when they were having their conference together. Needed a translator, which shows his lack of respect for Crypt Keeper Joe. Macron was wearing the pants, not Joe. In fact, when they made their first greet and photo op, as I was about to say, and they shook hands, Joe was holding on, just holding on to his hand, like, Macron's like, yeah, we're done shaking hands here. Is there anybody for me to sniff? You didn't bring your little kids along? Oh, man. Joe Biden's old enough to be Macron's father, by the way. Then, after another conference and that press thing, and Biden was, Well, let me call on. Hold on, I got my list. Is it my turn? That's my turn. Hold on a second. You from NPR. They give him a list, folks, of who to call on. That, like, I mean, make a long story short. Near the end of the presser, as they were both walking away, someone shouted out, 4 more years! And Joe goes, yeah, I don't know about that. He made the French president look stronger. They're our oldest ally in this and that. Listen, Joe, the French wave the white flag when they set off the fireworks at the Disneyland in Paris. Come on, man. Come on, man. You dog-faced pony soldier corn pup. Maybe you should have talked with a slight Indian accent. Hey, that would have helped. So anyhow, that being said, and this is what's even more funny, the hypocrisy of the left is great. You say Whole Foods and the brand administration of Democrats and started boycotting or saying they want to ban the harvest of Maine lobster because, quote unquote, the pots, well, they said nets, because that's how they manipulate things. The average person doesn't know how lobsters are caught unless you fish or you watch Deadliest Catch. Lobsters are typically caught just like crabs are, and these big solid things made of wood or metal that sink to the bottom, not like a net, which is made out of usually monofilament line or some kind of rope that's usually either thrown or dragged behind a boat, which typically does catch and or destroy anything in its place. That's why gill nets have been outlawed in most parts of the world. Most sophisticated parts of the world, anyway. They are still kind of used for shrimp trawling and whatnot, but those are typically used over the Gulf of Mexico where there's no coral or rock or anything but sand. And yeah, a lot of the times they will unfortunately kill species that are unintended. You can't avoid that, but people aren't going to quit eating shrimp, right? So anyhow, they wanted to put Whole Foods said they're not going to sell Maine lobster anymore because whales could get hurt by the nets. First off, they don't use nets. The Biden administration completely abides by this. Meanwhile, for this state dinner, they bought 200 live Maine lobsters with your money. And on top of which, they served. Now, the French may not know about lobsters. Joe Biden was talking about not Joe, was talking about the cheeses they had. Very expensive American-made type of cheese. I don't remember what it is because I don't eat cheese. Okay, fine. But the wine, folks, the French know their wine. And the wine of choice was rosé from California that sells for a whopping $30 a bottle. Yes. If you're trying to impress the French, you get them a red wine that gives for $300 or 600 francs or about 325 euro per bottle. Maybe some caviar. Well, I believe they did have the caviar. And a Democratic congressman from Maine was outraged by this. Wait a minute. You are calling for a boycott on this, not allowing us to sell our product because lobster fishery here has been around for 100 years. And it makes us a lot of our money. But you're ordering it. The hypocrisy, even the Democrats are calling him out on this hypocrisy, folks. Of course, AOC and those self-righteous libtards are probably going to be eating up the lobster all the time. Be like, no, man, but we can't do that because the whales and now, mind you, folks, not a single whale has been killed by a lobster pot, unless the whale's like retarded and and it would have to be a very small whale and like floats over the tiny opening in the lobster pot, which is no bigger than that big, and then pops a baby whale in there. That's probably the only way whale's going to get killed by a damn lobster pot. Or if it's stupid and it barrel rolls around in the in the in the in the float line where the the buoy's at. This has ever happened, and if it did, that's simple Darwinism. Another thing the Democrats are always a huge fan of: Darwinism, survival of the fittest, evolution, all that stuff. So why is I guess what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander? Meanwhile, Maine lobster is very, very expensive. Now, I am personally a Florida boy. I prefer the spiny Caribbean lobster to the Maine lobster. Just like I prefer stone crab to snow crab. Not that I can afford it, because it's running about $60 a pound this year. But even still, we know how it is. Final thoughts on what's happened this week, folks, is a reporter from Fox News caught up to Grimace Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, asking about what she thinks about Elon Musk. Because remember, the White House has thought they might have to look into him running Twitter, maybe try and cancel him. And she was like, well, no, I don't think any man or person or anything should be allowed to take away anybody's ideas or this, that, or the other thing. Well, what did Jack Dorsey do to Donald Trump? Oh, and mind you, Wokeahontas, or as Rush used to say, Folkehontas. I'm just going to say Wokeahontas because they're all getting woke. What did Jack Dorsey do to Donald Trump? Oh, he got rid of his account, which Elon Musk reinstated, and Trump has not gone back on Twitter because that would violate his commitment with his new platform, Truth Social. However, guess what? The fake news isn't telling you. You know who Elon Musk did suspend from Twitter? Yay West. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Democrats. Maybe throw a little fentanyl on that too, so you guys can start feeling the ODs that are happening to the rest of us all around the country from your open border, which you refuse to address. But it's going to become a nice change when Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House and starts exposing stuff. Till next week, folks. Hope you have a good week. It's not the holidays yet, right? Cheers. Don't let the left get to your head. Let's go, Brandon. Bourbon dog. Catch you later, folks. Thanks for watching.